Hey guys, what's good? Triple J Boxing here, and today I want to talk about, or tonight, shall I say? I want to talk about Canelo Alvarez and what should he do next? Um, he just got the win in the trilogy against Gennady Golovkin, and yeah, I wouldn't say it was an impressive win by any means. He didn't put a beat down on the 40-year-old Triple G, which Triple G is no ordinary fighter, so 40-year-old Triple G is better than most out there, if not all out there still. And yeah, Canelo got the win against him, and no one else has been able to do that, even at his late age. Like Murata couldn't do it, and others. Derevyanchenko was a close fight. I remember that was a kind of a. It was one of the. I would say one of the worst performances of Golovkin's career, but nevertheless, Golovkin was still, he's a special fighter. Canelo got the win. And there's questions. What is he going to do next? Like, can he beat Bivol in a rematch? Can he reclaim that status as kind of being the best, like, at all these divisions, right? Can he bring back that invincibility that he had for the last couple years, ever since the Triple G2 fight? He's kind of looked like he's been knocking out everybody out. You know what I mean? I think there's a lot to take away from that Triple G fight, the third one. Yes, he still looks sharp and quick. He's 32, so technically he should still be in his prime. But a lot of people are saying wear and tear on the body. People think he's declining already, which I don't think he's declining yet, but I think he definitely has stopped improving. I don't think he's going to get any better from here on out. I think it's all about maintaining the high level that he has right now. So I wouldn't say he's declining, but I wouldn't say he's getting better at this point either, which I would say he was still getting better after the first Triple G fight, which I don't think he is getting better now. And I'm trying to remember. I can't remember when he stopped maybe improving, but it was more. I think the last couple years he's reached his peak, and he can only go down from here, but I don't think he's going to go down the hill just yet. I think he's at the top of the hill, but he's reached the top of the hill. He's not going to get any better at this point. That's what I see in Canelo. For those people who say he's declining, what I say and what I respond to those people is saying, it's not that he's declining, it's just that he's fighting stylistic fighters that are tough for him, that make him look more ordinary. And what I mean by that is, like, when he fought Bivol, like, Bivol is a true, like, obviously he's not a big light heavyweight, but he campaigned at light heavyweight for a long time now, if not the start of his career, I'm pretty sure, since he had a amateur background that he picked up a lot of his lighter probably weights at. But as far as professionally wise, Bivol's been at light heavyweight for a long time. And Canelo challenged a guy that was naturally bigger than him, obviously, like in height and reach. But it's a guy who is used to fighting bigger guys, and a guy who naturally fights at that division. Whereas Canelo is a guy who probably shouldn't go past 168, in my opinion. 161 to 168 is probably where Canelo should be at for his body frame. But he seems to have put on a lot of weight and a lot of bulk, and he has trouble getting his weight down. So I don't know if that can be fixed with a nutritional program or because I don't think his body should keep on growing still, to be honest. Like, I think he should kind of be tailoring off, and he shouldn't be like, usually fighters when they reach their 30s, they're not going to keep on going up in weight divisions, you know what I mean? Um, but besides the point, I think light heavyweight is just, it's too much for Canelo. So the fact that he lost to Bivol isn't shocking to me. I picked Bivol to win. I put down $50 on Bivol to win. I wanted to put down more, but I knew the judges could possibly fuck him. So, but I won like almost $200. So I'm not just talking shit, guys. I've been watching Bivol since the HBO days when he was beating up Sullivan Barrera, when he beat Jean Pascal, when he beat Joe Smith Jr., who is now a champion and is going to fight Beterbiev. All these guys I seen Bivol face, and I knew he was going to be something. And I knew he had skills. And that's why I, combined with the fact that he's bigger and he's used to fighting bigger guys, and he's obviously more, he's got the more sharper boxing skills than Canelo. Like, he's a traditional Eastern European, a lot of amateur experience, and he knows how to use it. So I knew that was going to be a tough stylistic matchup for Canelo. So what I say to those people who think Canelo is declining, that's what I have to say. It has nothing to do with him declining, in my opinion. It's just he's fighting fighters that are very good, and it makes him look more average, like a Bivol. And we seen with Caleb Plant, he lost a lot of rounds. We seen with Sergey Kovalev, he lost a lot of rounds. He still got those guys out of there, but obviously he lost a lot of rounds, and that has nothing to do with him declining. That just has to do with the stylistic matchup. Guys who know how to use lateral movement and know how to position themselves and distance themselves very well, like these Eastern European fighters, like a Golovkin, a Bivol. They just know where to be at the right time. And a Caleb Plant with more of the American boxing style, but knows how to use his legs, right? These kind of fighters give Canelo more problems. They score points, right? And so, like, I don't think Canelo's declining yet. It is wear and tear on the body. He has been boxing since 15 years old, but a lot of fighters from Mexico and third world countries start boxing that early, and they last. They're still in their prime at 32 years old. Obviously, it depends on the fighter. But in my eyes, Canelo's not declining. He looked pretty sharp and quick in the Golovkin 3 fight. My only issue is he's gassing out later in the fight, but I don't think that's to do with his age. I think that's just to do with his style. He throws shots with all his power and all his might, hoping to catch you to knock you out, which he's been showing it's been working, right? He caught Kovalev, he caught Caleb Plant, he caught Billy Joe. He didn't catch Golovkin, but you could tell he was trying to knock him out since round 1. And when you put all your power into every shot, if you've ever been in the boxing gym, you know when you throw power shots, it takes more out of you, especially if you miss the shots. So a lot of those shots that Canelo was throwing in the Golovkin 3 fight were missing. Some of them landed on Golovkin, but a lot of them missed because of Golovkin's just aware of he has very good distance and ring generalship and really good footwork that would keep him out of the danger zone of Canelo's vicious hooks. Some of them got through, though. But what I'm trying to say is Canelo's style is meant to go in there and knock you out. He's falling in love with his power maybe a little too much. And that's why he gasses out. It has nothing to do with his age, I don't think. And like I said, he started boxing at 15. But like Golovkin was fighting competitively since 11 years old, right? Bivol, probably the same thing. A lot of these fighters, Olympic pedigree fighters from all around the world, has been fighting earlier than 15 years old. Maybe not, they're not fighting professionally, but in my opinion, it's still wear and tear. You're still fighting. Okay, you got headgear, but headgear doesn't really matter, they found out. Headgear actually is worse because it makes your head a bigger target and you still get the same amount of brain damage. So really, in the sense that, okay, you won't get cut up, okay, but the other thing, not only did the headgear not make a difference, really, it actually was worse, but in the amateur system, you're fighting all the top level guys. Like, you can't pick and choose who you're fighting. You're going to fight the guys at the top of the tournament. Like, if you make it to the end of the end of the tournament and you keep on winning your matches, you're going to fight the guy that's been winning as well, and you're going to clash. So, what I'm trying to say is, just because you haven't been fighting professionally since 15, like Canelo has been fighting a lot of tailor-made taxi drivers in Mexico since 15 years old, right? Whereas a guy like Golovkin, since 11 years old, was fighting top competition at his level, not taxi level drivers, guys that are on his level. Same with all amateur competitors. They have to fight guys that are on their level. If they, like, the more you win, the higher you go up in the whatever tournament you're in, nationals, Olympics, Golden Gloves. You're facing the next best guy if you make it that far. Whereas professionally, at the start of your career, you're facing bums. And obviously Canelo was 15, so he's fighting grown men. You got to give him credit there, but a lot of these Mexican fighters, they're not the most skilled fighters, to be honest. Okay, they're tough, but they're not very good athletes, and Canelo probably had a easy going building him up early, I'm guessing. So the wear and tear aspect that people bring up, that, oh yeah, Canelo's declining, wear and tear on the body, I really don't think you can use that, because there's a lot of fighters that have hundreds of amateur fights that are in their 30s and they're still in their prime. So, but it varies from fighter to fighter when you will get out of your prime and start to go downhill. But in my eyes, it's not that Canelo's declining. It's just he's fighting the top level competition. He doesn't get to... Okay, he gets to pick and choose still. But he's picked fighters that are very good fighters. Like, you got to give respect to Canelo there. Sure, he ducked Golovkin when Golovkin was in his prime. Like, after Canelo beat Miguel Cotto in a very close fight that could have went either way, he vacated the belt because Golovkin was his mandatory. So you can criticize him there. But other than that, ever since the Triple G2 fight, he's been fighting very good fighters. You can't deny that. Okay, he didn't fight Benavidez, but that's really the only other guy he hasn't fought that can possibly beat Canelo. A Charlo, I don't think he has what it takes to beat a Canelo. And I think we'll get that, though. I think we're going to get that. But other than Benavidez, he's fought everyone we wanted him to fight, really. And so in that sense... Yeah, like, it's not that he's declining. He's fighting a guy like Bivol, a guy like Caleb, Kovalev, that's winning rounds against him because stylistically, right? That's all I got to say. So for those who think he's declining, no, he's not. It's just he's fighting guys that are stylistically going to give him problems and make him look like he's declining. And he's fell in love with his power, and he gasses out later in the fight. And I think that's because he's throwing his shots with so much power. But really, you can't really blame him because it has been working. But against a guy like Bivol and a guy like a guy like Golovkin in his prime, it's not going to work against those Eastern Europeans. It's not going to work against those guys with that much experience. The problem with Caleb Plant was he was doing well, but he doesn't have that experience that a Golovkin and a Bivol has. And that's where he fell short. And then Billy Joe, he just didn't have him in it. He didn't have the dog in him, to be honest, to challenge Canelo. And it showed. Yeah, but I really think if Caleb had more experience, he would have did better in that fight. He would have survived and possibly won the fight on points. But I feel like he lacks power and he lacks sitting down on his punches. That's just not his style. He doesn't sit down on his shots like a Golovkin does. And Bivol, he doesn't sit down on all his shots, but when he gets you hurt or when he senses the momentum is starting to gain in his favor, he will start sitting down on his shots, as he's shown in the Canelo fight. Bivol wasn't throwing his shots very hard at the start of the fight, but once Canelo started slowing down, Bivol really started sitting down on his shots. And he's got power, Bivol. And the problem with Caleb Plant is he never really sits down on his shots. He kind of just lands cleanly, and nothing's wrong with that. You can win a fight like that. But I'm saying against a Canelo, you want to keep him honest and have some type of power. And I just feel like experience-wise he fell short, and power-wise he fell short, and that's why he didn't make it to the 12 rounds. And if he did, like I said, there's a possibility he can win on points against Canelo. But other than that, I just feel like Canelo needs to conserve his energy better if he's going to be fighting Bivol again. And I think he should take a little break, in my opinion. He's been like the most active top-level fighter I can think of in the last couple years. Like, it seems like he just fought Bivol, and he just fought Golovkin. Like, this guy has fought, I think, 3 times in the last little bit. And everyone else is, like, fighting 1 time a year, it seems like top-level fighters. So you got to give him respect there. He deserves a break. He's going to get that hand surgery. Did that affect him in the Bivol fight, in the Canelo fight? To be honest, I don't think that would have made a difference, because in Las Vegas, he injects his knuckles with I'm not sure he does it. I assume he would, though. Why wouldn't you? But I know you're allowed to use that numbing chemical in your knuckles, like Floyd Mayweather would use it all the time. It is only legal in Nevada. It's not legal in other states, but it numbs your tissue around where you inject it. So even if his hand was fucked up, he wouldn't feel it throwing that left hook. And as you've seen in the Triple G fight, he was throwing it with vicious intent. It didn't look like it was bothering him. So I don't think that really made a difference in him losing the Bivol fight. I think obviously it's obviously a plus, though. It will help him, but I don't think it would be the determining factor that he lost that fight by any means. I would say like a rotator cuff injury like a Lomachenko would have to do more with losing a fight than a knuckle. So he's going to get that hand worked on. He'll become more healthier. He'll feel more comfortable in the ring for sure. So he won't have to inject himself with that stuff to numb him. He can feel confident in throwing it and feel it when it lands instead of... Like I'm not sure if he uses that stuff, guys, but I assume he did. Why wouldn't you if your hand's that fucked up, right? And the way he was throwing it, you would either have to have such mental strength to deal with the pain that he's throwing that left hook that hard still in his hand, and he can't even grasp a glass. He was saying in the interview he can't even grasp a glass. That's how bad his hand is. So I don't know how he would be able to make a fist then and throw it that hard against Golovkin if he didn't inject himself with that kind of stuff, right? But he is a beast, so who knows? So he'll get that hand worked on. I think he should take a break. Take a longer break than usual, maybe like 6 months. I don't know. I would say at least 6 months. Get that worked on. And then come back and fight Bivol. If Bivol can get back past Zurdo, Ramirez, Gilberto. And if that all happens, and Bivol, I favor Bivol in that fight, but Zurdo is no joke. He's a lot bigger than Bivol, so that's a tough fight. But I favor Bivol with just the skills, the judgment of distance, just the Eastern boxing skills he possesses is so good. It's going to be hard to beat that guy on points. You're going to have to knock him out kind of thing, or hurt him at least. But hopefully everything goes to plan and we get that rematch, because I really like to see that again, to see if Canelo can make improvements. But I don't think he can beat Bivol, to be honest. I think stylistically, he's met his match there. Light heavyweight is his absolute limit. 168, to be honest, is his absolute limit in my opinion. I think guys like David Benavidez at 168 could possibly beat Canelo because he's huge. But I think 175 is a little more than he can chew, I feel like. He had his way with the crusher Sergey Kovalev, but Kovalev was like past his prime. He was drinking vodka. He was collecting the payday. He was coming off of I think he just fought that guy from the UK. What's his name? I forget his name. He looks like a beast though. But he was coming off that fight, and so he didn't get much rest. But the bottom line was, Kovalev's never been the same ever since the first Andre Ward fight. He fell off the hill mentally. He started drinking a lot. The discipline wasn't there anymore. And it showed. He was up on the scorecards, in my opinion, against Canelo, but he let his guard down. He got knocked out. But we all know a prime Kovalev, it would be a different story. And a prime Bivol is no joke. Like, this is the top guy in the division. And I just don't think that Golovkin, or not Golovkin, I don't think Canelo can deal with that size of a man that has those kind of skills. I just think 168 should be his final division. He should obviously still try to get the Bivol rematch, but I think it's a little too much for him, to be honest. And I don't know. Let me know what you guys think, though. I just think stylistically, the boxing skills of Bivol and the weight class is just a little too much for Canelo. And I think 168 is going to be still, he has challenges is there. David Benavidez. Bivol would be willing to go to 168 too. So 160, 168 is Canelo's sweet spot. And I want him to fight Charlo. And I want him to fight either Charlo, doesn't matter. And David Benavidez in the Bivol rematch. So those are the three fights I'd want to see Canelo fight. Is number 1, the Bivol rematch. Number 2, David Benavidez. Number 3, Charlo. So one of those guys. But I really do think he should pursue the Bivol rematch immediately, especially if Bivol wins. Just to get that out of the way. See if he can make adjustments. If not, sure, say if you don't get beat up too bad like the first fight, move back down, fight a David Benavidez. Maybe take a tune-up, then fight David Benavidez. But you know that sometimes that's not Canelo's style. He goes right to David, or he'll go right to Charlo. So those are the fights I want to see him fight. Take a break and fight one of those guys. But I'm saying Bivol rematch is what I want to see. But anyway, guys, let me know what you think he should do. How do you think he looked against Triple G in the third fight? I thought he looked alright. My only critique really is his game plan to knock people out early is not going to work. Or not to knock people out early, just to knock people out. Like, it seems like he puts too much power into every shot and he gasses out later in the fight. And that's not going to work against a guy who can endure those shots. Or not even endure, avoid those shots like a Bivol. We'll just say like a David Benavidez can maybe endure that, and a Bivol can avoid that. And what happens then? Is Canelo going to gas out versus a Bivol again against a David Benavidez and lose the fight, right? So maybe he needs to critique his strategy against those type of fighters. Like, sure, against a lesser type of fighter, you can knock the guy out. You can throw every shot with power. It worked, right? Billy Joe, Caleb, all those guys, like, he knocked them out. Kovalev. But one of these times, well, not one of these times, it already happened, but the guy's going to be able to stand up to the power and not get knocked out and win a lot of rounds against you. And then what do? You gassed out and you lose the fight. So my critique of Canelo is work on your strategy for your endurance. Like, I know you're in good shape, but sometimes it's good to conserve your energy for later in the fight and just win some rounds if you know the guy, or set your shots up better. Like, don't I don't know, it's really hard to say because Canelo is using, it has been working, right? He's been knocking guys out. And, you know, one of those shots could knock out a Bivol, right? You don't know. So, like, it really is... It's really hard to say, because if I tell Canelo to conserve his energy, is he going to be able to win the round? Maybe not still, right? He'll still get outworked and outpointed. So maybe he should just keep his strategy up and throw every shot with immense power, and if he touches you once, he could end the fight. Because I really even think if he tries to put less power on his shots, to use less energy, and like he still might not win the rounds against these kind of guys. So, but yeah, I'm still gonna go with that. Canelo looked good. He looked fast. He looked sharp. Golovkin showed heart and his championship pedigree later in the fight, and Canelo slowed down and gassed out. So that's my only critique of him. Other than that, rest up and take on Bivol in the rematch, and then off to David Benavidez, and then Charlo. So this is Triple J Boxing, guys. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.